You're watching CGTV, Community Government Television, Channel 11, Pitkin County, City of Aspen, and Town of Snowmass Village.
The City of Aspen, established in 1881, has over 220 full-time employees, a number that swells to more than 425 with the addition of seasonal and temporary workers. Organized into more than 20 departments, the City of Aspen provides major amenities like parks, a rec center, and open space, and services like utilities and police and Kids First to its residents and visitors. From the golf course to the Community Development Department, the Wheeler Opera House to the Parking Department, the City of Aspen and its employees strive to do the best job possible. A major goal of the city is keeping open communication between the government and the citizens. Welcome to City Matters, a show where the city does matter, and matters of the city are brought to you. Hi, I'm Mitzi Rapkin, Director of Community Relations for the City of Aspen. Welcome to City Matters, where we talk about all things city. And today I am honored to have Mayor Torre with me. Thanks for coming, Torre.
My pleasure.
So tell me, let's talk about Torre. It's the Torre half hour.
All right.
What, you've been in office several times, you've run several times. Now you're our mayor. What inside of you brought you to public service?
I think I've always been compelled to do public service in the sense that ever since I was young, I when people used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up, or what do you want to do when you grow up, I always was just committed to making my world better before I leave it. Mm-hmm. So ever since I can remember, I've been inspired to just, one, be happy, and two, work for good cause. So I've always really kind of been involved. I can remember going back to high school and organizing different rallies or movements all the way through college. And then when I moved to Aspen, Aspen as a community was really a place that you could get involved. It's very, politics here are very local. So I was inspired to run for mayor the first time in 2001. I came in fourth out of four, but at the same time I realized that I had a voice at the table that wasn't being represented, so I was inspired to run again 2 years later for city council, and I actually won that year. So I served, my first term on city council was 2003 to 2007, and then I was re-elected 2009 to 2013, and I had run for mayor in the interim there, actually 5 times total. And then this last election was my 6th time running for mayor, and I was successful in the last election.
All right. So from your time on council, I know this is a big question because you deal with a lot of issues, but could you characterize your experience? Like, did it meet sort of your hopes, and did you sort of push policies along that you hoped would have an impact on Aspen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the things that I remember the most were the environmental actions that we took, mandating recycling service for residents and businesses, and plastic bag ban, things like that. And those, I'm hoping to continue working on those. And that's really why I continue to run, is just to keep working on the issues, whether it's housing, transportation, or the environment, or anything that the community really is looking for and needing. But yeah, I had a great experience. My first term, I served under Helen Clanderud as the mayor, and served with some great people, from J.E. DeVilbiss, and Rachel Richards actually was on council at that time with me as well. And just a great group, both on council and in city staff and management. So it was a great experience. And yes, I was inspired to continue to keep going because I really saw the opportunity to make positive change for my community.
And so this time around, when you decided to run for mayor, because it takes a lot, to say, I'm going to do it again. It's going to be the 6th time.
Yeah.
What pushed you to run for mayor as opposed to council?
That's a good question. Really it was just about that leadership position. To be honest with you, I really thought that I was going to run for council. And I just as we approached the election and the deadline for filing, I just saw that maybe I could be more effective and really bring my experience and my knowledge about the issues to the seat of mayor instead, and really made that decision pretty late in the game. I didn't announce my candidacy until actually the last day that you could announce. So, I took my time. I talked to people in the community, both supporters and detractors, and just realized that, it was probably the best move for me to try to make a bigger difference by running for the mayor's seat.
And what have you sort of noticed? All 5 people in the body have 1 vote, but just being in staff, I know that the mayor has some extra duties. Like you have a mayor's meeting on Monday at 2 with staff, and you can help kind of guide the agenda. But in your brief time, because it's only been like a month and a half, what have you noticed about being mayor that's a little different than council?
First of all, I would say not a lot, right? It's not a lot, and I think that comes a lot from my perspective on it. I value the council that we have. I value staff, and so my role as mayor, for me, is really just part of a team. There is some leadership that you bring to it. I decide a little bit more about the timing of agenda items. And you're right, I do have an office on the 2nd floor, so I have a little bit more interaction on a day-to-day basis with staff members and management. But my take on it is really, I'm another citizen, and I'm another council member. So I don't really look at the position of mayor as being too much separated from that, and I really am trying to maintain that. I very much value the team that we have assembled, both on the council and the staff side. So I'm just trying to help facilitate everybody do the best job that they can.
And I know having your main issues when you ran, affordable housing and the environment. I would say from my perspective, but you feel free to correct me.
I would throw in there immediately communication, and just how representative democracy in Aspen works. I'm very much trying to reconnect as much as I can the citizens to the process, and I'd say the process to the citizens as well. So that's also a top 3 priority coming into this, is that I thought that there was a little lacking in how we were communicating, from citizens to council to management to staff, and then back down the other way, where staff gets back to management gets back to council, and council then can report back to citizenry. So that was the top 3. Transportation initiatives were another big topic that we were talking about. But then, what I noticed over my years, what I've noticed, and then during the campaign, what became very evident and very clear was that in Aspen, everybody has their own concerns and their own issues that they're working on that impact them, that they would like to see changes on. So, more than anything, I'm really trying to address some of those day-to-day things that impact individuals.
So out of those issues, transportation, environmental, communication, affordable housing, process, would you like to talk about, let's talk about a few of them, but you can pick first. What kind of policy issues or concerns do you have now for being on council that you want to move the needle on, maybe?
Okay. On environment, we are seeing a strong movement towards energy consumption reductions and waste management. I think that there's a big push right now for us to get a comprehensive composting program going on in our community. We're looking at ways to reduce some of the single-use plastics in our community, and really just educating people about what are progressive and positive moves that they can make in their own lives and how they deal with their consumptive habits and their waste management on an individual basis. For transportation, we have, I'm part of the airport visioning committees that are going on, and that along with mass transit in our valley, we are looking at really trying to make a difference in how people get around our valley, minimizing the necessity for the automobile. And that's both for just quality of life issues, but also environmental stances as well. Let's see, on communication, well, we've brought on Tracy Truelove, a new communications director, but we're also really just trying to refine how this council is communicating with the public and how we're allowing the public to communicate with us, opening work sessions with public comment and stuff like that. What else were we talking about?
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing. Oh man, I guess we've actually probably in the 7 weeks that we've been assembled as a new council, I think affordable housing is probably where we've made the most direct action, starting to guide some of the future process for planning at the lumber yard, and there's several other projects that are going around town, and we're really looking at how to move the program forward, both with APSHA, in-house some cleanup about rules, regulations, and obviously the board is going to be composed differently at APSHA, but also looking at our opportunities, whether it's about maintaining current inventory or building new. So we've done a lot of work on housing. We've done a lot of work actually in all these areas. It's been a real treat. I am a little impatient. I do want to see some change and some action going forward. But I'm really proud of the work that we've done over the last 7 weeks.
Great. So I'm going to get a little bit granular on some of this, but like environmentally, you said single-use plastic reduction. Like for instance, I've seen a lot of cities do straw bans, plastic straw bans.
Yeah.
Is that the type of thing you?
That and deeper. We're talking about to-go containers. We're talking about smart packaging. So the ultimate goal here would not just be about minimizing, say, straws, for example, but any of those kind of items, single-use, to-go containers, as I was saying and stuff. The end goal is to reduce our volume of them, but also to influence those people that are utilizing those and producing those to switch their methods as well. So smart packaging is what I was just talking about. And that goes like, we're hoping that we can influence how things are even brought into our community. So it's a little deeper than just the plastics bans like that. I will tell you that we're in a interesting situation here because Colorado has some preemptive legislation that kind of handcuffs us a little bit on what we can do legislatively. So as I've been saying, what I want to do is facilitate the changes for our community before we legislate the changes for our community.
Yeah. And transportation with multimodal and trying to get people out of the cars.
Absolutely.
We've had some hiccups with that in the past.
A little bit.
Do you have any sort of pet projects that you prefer, or?
Right now, what I'm doing is I'm going back to the Aspen Institute and the Transportation Task Force Committee that they had assembled, and they've shared their findings and their results. They came forward with a in-depth study about an integrated method of approaching transportation issues. So going back to them, working with the airport planning, and then the work that city had been doing over the last couple of years, and trying to meld those together. There's a lot of crossover with the work that's been done, and it's really, right now, the focus for me is just about getting those three entities to kind of come together to look at this from a valley-wide holistic approach. So I am not personally pushing an agenda or items myself. Other than that, I'm really just trying to get together the good work that's already been done and try to move some of the pieces forward that should be moved forward.
With housing, you had mentioned you've moved the needle a lot. Basically, we have the lumberyard in play, we have Burlingame in play, we have Water Place, which is more for some city housing. But that's a lot of new units on board. Have you heard feedback from the community?
Not necessarily, not completely in that avenue. I think mostly the community is very happy that the process is starting. And that's really where we're at. We're really looking at good public outreach and communication on these projects. We do want to involve the public and the community, not just here in Aspen, but valley-wide in the discussion about what we need to be doing, whether that's building new units or maintaining the ones that are already built. So, I haven't heard a bunch of feedback, and I think that's a good thing. I think what we're hearing, or by not hearing anything, is that people are excited about the direction that we're going.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because as we go deeper down this hole of like, what do we need in this valley? If you look at the regional housing study that shows like the average price of a home down valley is $690,000. Should we look beyond Aspen borders? That's a loaded question.
It sure
is.
Well, the philosophy behind Aspen-generated housing for years has really been about containing it as much as we could within the urban growth boundary. I think now the discussion has changed a little bit to containing it within urban growth boundaries up and down the valley. I think that we have a necessity to create valley-wide partnerships. So if we're going to be doing that, then I think that we will be looking for opportunities that may not be in Aspen proper. And part of that regional housing study that you were talking about was really interesting about the commuter patterns as well. Mm-hmm. I am a big advocate and have always thought about our valley as one. I'm Aspen-centric to a degree, but I really try to think about what we're doing here, both transportation, housing, childcare even, on a valley-wide, because we have so many people that work in Aspen, that play in Aspen, but they might live down valley in Carbondale, Basalt, Glenwood, or even further, but they're still part of our community. So, the regional housing study was a great tool that we're going to be using to probably be looking for some development opportunities down valley.
Well, one of the things that came out of, you just mentioned childcare, and council just had a retreat a few weeks ago to kind of look about how you want to work together as a council moving forward, and also some of your priorities. And childcare came out as a top.
Yeah. We're willing to take on another tough one, and that is a tough one. I mean, the facilities that you need, the personnel that you need, and the costs that are associated with that are really a challenge for the private sector. So that's an area where this council is very interested in making an impact. I'll tell you, I've been saying about how oftentimes the things that council does, the impact might be to an individual. But when it comes to childcare, the impact is to the family. It's not just about the child. It's about the impacts to the parents as well. So for me, it's really an area where it's got greater benefit that you get out of it than just having a place for the child's day. The impacts are way greater, and I'm so fortunate that my fellow council members feel the same. But it is a tough one, and there's been a bit of work done on it. We're looking at locations for a facility and things like that, but we have a lot more work to do on it.
I think it's a challenging one too, like talking about communication. So, the city of Aspen has Kids First. It's a program of the city that's funded in part by taxpayers, and they're really by sales tax, and that's a resource for people. And if you don't have kids, you might not know about Kids First, but making sure that our children in our community have good early childhood learning makes them more socially adaptable, makes them more intelligent, makes them more willing probably later to contribute to the community. Yeah. And having good childcare for your child as a parent allows you to make sure you make it to work. And so, that whole circle is really hard to communicate, but it's so important. Yeah. So it's nice to see that it's a top priority, because it feeds into the transportation, the housing, the affordability, and the workforce of living here.
Yeah, I don't have kids of my own.
Yeah.
So you know, it's interesting for me, but I feel the gravity of the situation. You know, I know that it's a need that we have in our community, and I'm working towards it.
Yeah. Was there anything else that came up at your council retreat that you ended up putting a lot of attention to as a council, or something that was interesting to you that we haven't talked about?
You know, we focused on only a few items during the retreat and really tried to get some of our top priorities in front of us. So not a whole bunch, you know. I think public health and public safety is one of the things that came out of the retreat for me that I probably need to spend a little bit more time focusing on and understanding. I did, as we did our board appointments, for each council member serves on other boards, whether it's a RAFTA board or now the APCHA board. One of the ones that I've taken on is the Public Board of Health. So that's, I guess for me, that's kind of an interesting thing that came out of the retreat, was just an increased focus on health in our community. And in my previous terms on council, that really wasn't a top priority or topic that we were talking about. And I don't know if that's because of the changing nature of even health care in our valley, or if it's just a new awareness about how to be healthier, both as an individual and as a community. I don't know where it's coming from, but that might be one that really rose up for me, even through the campaign, then the retreat, and now serving on the Public Board of Health. And that's it, very interesting work. The previous council had done some things with, for example, tobacco restrictions, raising the age to 21, imposing a tax. And so, you know, that momentum is moving forward into other areas as well.
Yeah. I mean, another decision that council has very immediately that seems like it could be really one of the most important is selecting a new city manager.
Absolutely.
I mean, you will all come and go. You have terms, you have limits. Hopefully a city manager will stay. And so you want to find the right leader for Aspen. And that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Not to daunt you.
Not daunted at all. As a matter of fact, you know, the process that we're going through for that is really being well done. We have a great firm that's helping us with that search. We're going to be hearing back very soon about some of the finalists. 10 or 12 that's been culled down from, I think, maybe 64. 64 applicants. So you know, it's not daunting. It's an exciting process that we're going to be going through. And like I said, if you run a process correctly and run it well, then the results are going to be there for you. So I'm excited about it. Luckily, right now, we have some great staff that are doing their best to keep the ship steering in the right direction, and they are. But yeah, we bringing on a new city manager, you know, with that title in place is going to be fantastic for the city, and it's just a great opportunity for us. You know, I'm looking forward to it.
And have you noticed, since you've been in office, it's only been 6 weeks, have you gotten citizen feedback on certain issues that you're hearing more buzz about than others?
You know, the city office planning that's going on right now is definitely a hot topic. So I've probably spent most of my individual meetings talking about that and the direction that that's going. No, you know, once again, I have office hours available, 12 to 2 on Mondays. And you'd be amazed and surprised at the individuality of the concerns that come through the door. It's not really everybody talking about one. It's just people have their own concerns and their own items that they want to make me aware of. And that's really what it's about, is me listening to the citizenry and bringing those concerns forward to other council members and staff. So
you mentioned earlier you're serving on the Board of Health.
Yeah.
What other committees do you represent?
God, that's a good question. I've drawn a blank on it.
Yeah.
Well, I attended the RAFTA board meeting recently, but I'm actually just a third alternator on that or whatever, but I did fill in there. Let's see. I took Public Board of Health and CAST. the Colorado Association of Ski Towns. Those are the two really that I took on. I think that's it for now. You know, I have a day job. And in the summer, it's an intense day job because I teach tennis for a living. So I plan on actually picking up another board perhaps here in the fall. But right now, just CAST and the Public Board of Health.
Great. People can come and see you at meetings every Monday at 5, every Tuesday at 4. And if there isn't a public meeting for City Council, then the work session is also at 4 on Monday. They can reach you at Torre at cityofaspen.com, which is on the screen, and your office hours every Monday from 12 to 2 in City Hall.
Absolutely. Also, there's a city phone number. It's 920-5199. And I will even give out my personal cell number, which is 948-2023. And the reason I do that and the reason I appreciate you saying about how to get in touch is because that's what this is about connecting the citizenry back to the process. So I invite anybody and everybody to get in touch.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your time.
Wait, we're done?
We're done.
No, Mitzi.
I know. No waterboarding.
What?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
You're watching CGTV, Community Government Television, Channel 11, Pitkin County, City of Aspen, and Town of Snowmass Village.
The City of Aspen, established in 1881, has over 220 full-time employees, a number that swells to more than 425 with the addition of seasonal and temporary workers. Organized into more than 20 departments, the City of Aspen provides major amenities like parks, a rec center, and open space, and services like utilities and police and Kids First to its residents and visitors. From the golf course to the Community Development Department, the Wheeler Opera House to the Parking Department, the City of Aspen and its employees strive to do the best job possible. A major goal of the city is keeping open communication between the government and the citizens. Welcome to City Matters, a show where the city does matter, and matters of the city are brought to you.